I'm sharing a reading experience. I took down notes from the Longevity Project by Friedman and Martin, and I'm sharing them with you now. I hope you listen and receive something worthwhile from this. The Longevity Project started in 1921 with Louis Terman, a Stanford professor. All 1,528 participants of this project were intellectual, promising students noticed by their teachers around the age of 11 with a good start in life. The project lasted over these children's entire life in order to collect the data. The last participant died in 2004 at the age of 100. 10 million pieces of data were studied for another decade, and the findings were finally published in 2011, 90 years after the project began. This research has many startling conclusions which shows many policies and recommendations about health are misguided. For example, people overestimate genetics. Our own life's path matters more. Oversimplified recommendations make things worse. Do this, not that lists are too narrow, misleading, or deadly wrong. Some of the conclusions of this study are as follows. Personality is an excellent predictor of health and longevity, but often in counterintuitive ways. The best predictor is a conscientiousness, which are the qualities of being prudent, persistent, and well organized. It is not cheerfulness or being social as many think. Conscientious people do more to protect their health and engage in fewer activities that are risky. Conscientious people tend to have better chemical balance by producing more serotonin, by being less impulsive, eating and sleeping better, and having personalities that lead them to healthier situations and relationships. Healthy people tend to be happy, but happiness does not make you healthy. Just like tall people tend to buy long clothes, but buying long clothes does not make you tall. Certain lifestyles put you on a path to long life and keeps you healthy, happy, and fulfilled. By cheering yourself up with short term pleasure adds no benefit to your health. Being sociable is not always good because it often encourages unhealthy behavior. If you're social, you must be extra careful who you choose as friends. Cheerful and optimistic people are less likely to live to old age compared to more sober people. Optimistic people tend to persist in their goals, but people who are too optimistic are left surprised, disappointed, and seriously frustrated in the long term. People who practice a moderate outlook do much better. Catastrophic chicken little thinking kills you off. And before it cuts you down, those who have catastrophic thinking patterns tend to have superficial relationships, blame themselves for too much, and cannot constructively face their problems. It was found out that early health advantages or disadvantages are not important to later health unless there is brain damage. Being active in middle age is more important than being active in your childhood. Being inactive as a child was not a problem if you became more active as you aged. People who entered school early encountered difficulty throughout their life. People who start at the age of 5 are at a higher risk of dying early. Getting a head start is a dead end myth. Unstructured playtime is important to healthy development. Problems of impulse control and focus are made worse in a structured school environment. Children from divorced families die 5 years earlier than children from intact families. Divorce was the single strongest social predictor of health. However, children whose parents died had no long term health effects. The breakup of positive family was extra hard on boys, while the breakup of a clearly troubled negative family helped bring needed relief to boys. For girls, the family situation before the divorce made no difference. Being divorced is much less harmful to women than it is to men. Long term health and lifespan has a lot to do with your disposition and your choices. The so called health advantage of being married comes from the influence apparent in childhood. The most successful men lived 5 years longer than the least successful. The greater the success, the longer the life. Workplace stress arises from conflicts with other people rather than the challenges and demands of the work itself. The individuals who tend to react with hostility to interpersonal slights are particularly likely to suffer lingering psychological damage. Those who were less critical of others tried to avoid arguments and didn't always try to get things their own way tended to be healthier and live longer. Looking for a career that is a perfect match does not put you to the path of health because a perfect career increases one's natural tendencies towards unhealthy patterns. Living out one life's dreams does not lead to health and longevity. It is productive perseverance that does. Continually productive men and women live much longer than their more laid back comrades. Productive orientation, or those most engaged in pursuing their goals, mattered more than social relationship or happiness and well being. Education was not a strong predictor to later health and longevity. Being intelligent was not the ticket to health and long life, but channeling knowledge and smarts towards productive achievement was. Religion was not much of a factor for men, but for women, the religiously inclined were clearly more likely to live longer, mainly because it was linked to social networks and community engagement. The most important aspect of social life and longevity was a large social network, followed by whether you help and provide support for others. The least important factor was whether you feel that others were there for you. It may help with a sense of well being, but doesn't help you live longer. Large social networks mattered a lot. It wasn't those who felt connected and appreciated, but those who had many actual ties in their social network and who were engaged in helping others who lived the longest. The most agreeable, thoughtful, and helpful were among the longest living. Having pets did not add to long life. Feeling good, staying calm, and breathing deeply can be signs of health, but they are not health's root cause. The warriors were much more willing to take care of themselves. The more masculine men and women had increased mortality rates, while the more feminine women and men were relatively protected and less likely to die from all causes. It seems that part of what helps women live longer isn't the fact that they're females, but the fact that they're feminine. The more alien and disturbing an experience, the worse off their later health became. But it was more often the case that an accumulation of smaller decisions and reactions lead to large and significant consequences. In many ways, stress is a good thing and is essential in staying healthy. The problem arises when your body cannot settle back down and steer its way back to safety. This chronic stress can feed on itself, leading to destructive habits, a weakened capacity to cope with stress, and impaired social relations. Depression, hostility, and aggressiveness are often markers for a host of illnesses. But these illnesses cannot be prevented by treating the depression. Specialists can treat the symptoms of the disease, but to be healthy, the whole person must be treated by a promoter of wellness. The person must instead be integrated back into the community, stable life and job, and caring family and friends. The psychological stress of war is not a major health risk. Rather, it's the cascade of unhealthy patterns that follow. Drinking, smoking, overeating, sleep disturbances, and moodiness often appear together and reinforce each other. And the person is much worse off if they were already prone to unhealthy decisions. Those who find themselves in a traumatic experience and are able to reestablish a sense of security about the world are usually the ones that return to a healthy pathway. They are motivated, persistent, and prudent. They care for themselves, avoiding catastrophic thoughts, work hard at life's challenges, and turn to good social relationships. Prudent, persistent achievers with stable families and social support are the ones most concerned with what they should be doing to stay healthy, but they were already living a healthy lifestyle. It's my suggestion that if you find this material interesting, you will read it for yourself to see if you focus on the same things. My bet is that you will see something slightly, if not altogether, different. I wish you the best in your happy readings. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, God bye.